If you're after a well-rounded smartphone experience for under £200, then your options are still pretty limited. I haven't tested out many worthy super budget handsets lately, besides the likes of the Moto G7 Power and the Huawei P Smart 2019. That is, at least until last week when the Realme 3 Pro dropped into my lap. This colourful wee fella hits the UK and Europe on June the 5th, boasting some decent specs and a feature-packed UI, and the best bit is definitely the asking price. The Realme 3 Pro costs from just £175 here in the UK, which makes it on par with my favourite so far, the Moto G7 Power. I've had my SIM stashed in this thing for close to a week now, and here is my full in-depth Realme 3 Pro review. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty bloody impressed. Give it a quick squint and the Realme 3 Pro looks pretty similar to the Honor 10 Lite and other colourful wallet-friendly handsets launched this past year. From the front end you get a mighty 6.3-inch screen which practically fills the whole panel, with only a teeny dewdrop notch intruding on the proceedings. And around the back, a choice of two designs for that shiny surfacing, lightning purple or nitro blue. This right here is the nitro blue model, and it's certainly a cheery, colourful wee bugger indeed. And of course there is that lightning purple option if you prefer something a bit moodier. The budget-friendly Honor phones often serve up some kind of jazzy light pattern around the back, and the Realme 3 Pro follows suit with a snazzy yet quite subtle S-curve effect that's apparently inspired by Le Mans. And I know bugger all about racing, so I'll just leave that right there. But I do quite like the look of this handset though, even if I do prefer the Lightning version. And yes, it does get greased up rather easily, so regular t-shirt rubs are a must. A few teeny wee scratches have appeared on the bottom end of the Realme 3 Pro after a week of use, but you have to squint pretty hard to see them, to be fair, and that's the only sign of wear so far. And around the front end, not only do you have a Gorilla Glass 5 finish, but also you get a pre-installed screen protector as well for double peace of mind. And Realme has even bundled a transparent case in the box as well if you want to keep your budget blower looking as good as new. Now that 6.3-inch screen is a Full HD Plus beast, producing the same sharp and colourful visuals as the Huawei P Smart 2019 and beating the Moto G7 Power for detail levels. The picture does quickly darken as you tilt away from your face, but the visuals themselves are very easy on the eye. And if you want to kick back with some movies, you can always plug in a wired pair of headphones via the 3.5mm headphone jack or connect a wireless pair using Bluetooth 5 as well, just as well because the built-in speaker, the bottom firing effort right here, is a wee bit shite. Now moving on to the software, and the Realme 3 Pro runs Android Pie with ColorOS version 6 smothered neatly on top. This is the latest version of the ColorOS UI, crafted by Oppo and found on recent handsets like the Reno and the F11 Pro. ColorOS adds a buttload of bonus features to Android and tinkers with the general layout. For instance, swapping out that Google feed for the Smart Assistant, which is basically just a collection of customizable widgets. Thankfully, unlike previous versions of ColorOS, you do actually get an apps tray, so you can tidy away all your various bits and your desktops aren't a cluttered mess like you're using a bloody iPhone or something. There's sadly no dedicated one-handed mode, but I do like the gesture support, while that rear-mounted fingerprint sensor is supplemented by some effective 2D face recognition. And it even works with shades if you take the eyes closed option. If you fancy a full tour of ColorOS version 6, then you can go check out my review, which is live right now. Now, budget blowers do often disappoint as far as the performance goes, but the Realme 3 Pro packs in Qualcomm's Snapdragon 710 chipset, backed by either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. My review model was that top-end 6 gig model, and I definitely found it a very smooth everyday experience. You will see the occasional little pause as you're trying to load up an app or similar, but overall I wasn't impatiently waiting for the phone to catch up or anything like that. Definitely no worries on the gaming front either. PubG Mobile defaults to the high graphics settings, for instance, and handles it pretty well as well. Overall, it is a smooth experience with just the occasional little stutter or stumble to remind you that you are playing on a budget device. And of course, this performance is helped along by the Game Space feature, which clears the phone's memory when you boot up a game, as well as limiting distractions from incoming notifications and the like. Battery life is another winner too, with that 4045 mAh cell keeping you going for over a day between charges, unless of course you really can't quit that PUBG. I found I usually made it well into a second day before the battery saver mode kicked in, and recharging is nice and nippy as well thanks to the VOOC Flash Charge 3.0 support. Just 10 or 15 minutes of the plug easily gives you more than enough juice for pretty intensive use over a long commute, so you're basically sorted even if you forget to plug the wee bugger in overnight. And I don't think I'll run out of storage storage anytime soon either. You get a choice of 64 or 128 gigs of space, and that's expandable up to another 256 gigs thanks to the micro SD memory card support. And last up, the camera tech, and the Realme 3 Pro packs a dual lens rear snapper for capturing your highly exciting everyday existence. The 16 megapixel f1.7 primary lens sits alongside a simple 5 megapixel effort with Sony's IMX519 sensor on board, and the result is some very respectable photos indeed. Colours do tend to be boosted to look even more vibrant than they actually do in real life, which some will love and some will not love quite so much. But nature pics certainly come out with some quite striking hues. Snap away on a very bright day and you won't really see much in the way of hideous oversaturation. In fact, the Realme handles dodgy contrast quite happily, certainly for a budget device. And although indoor shots do come out rather warm, and if you're dealing with a live-in mobile subject you can definitely expect some blur, we were happy with the overall quality. There's even a dedicated nightscape mode as well to give you some pretty well balanced results when the lights are turned down low. As for video, the results are again quite attractive and punchy. You can grab up to 4K resolution footage and the picture is nice and crisp, while audio is captured with a stereo effect, although I did notice a few little crackles and pops here and there on my samples. Image stabilization is good at Full HD level, but bump it up to Ultra HD and you'll want to try and stay as still as possible. Things get a bit janky. So in conclusion, the Realme 3 Pro offers pretty damn impressive value for money if your budget is tighter than a gnat's chuff. You get strong performance, dependable battery life and some solid all-round specs, making it a great, well-rounded package for under 200 quid. So are you tempted by the Realme 3 Pro, or perhaps you're slightly more skewed towards the Moto G7 Power with its nice stock version of Android? Definitely be great to hear your thoughts down below, and don't forget to poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers!